Hi, everybody, and welcome to another installment of our Interviews with the Expert series. Today, I'm talking with Martina. She is an Oh Crap Potty Training consultant. So, Martina, can you give us a little bit of your background and tell us how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got started several years ago when my 6-year-old was about needing to be potty trained, and a friend loaned me the Oh Crap Potty Training book. And I was amazed because potty training went so smoothly. I was hooked. I used the method again for my daughter, and we hit a few hurdles with my daughter. So I actually reached out to a different Oh Crap Potty Training consultant, and she gave me some tips, and potty training went great after that. And I thought, I can do this. Like, the advice she was giving me made perfect sense once I learned a little bit more about the method. And so I enrolled in the book author, Jamie Glowacki, has a certification course, and I enrolled and completed that. And then I've also done a lot of reading on other potty training methods, so I'm familiar with kind of the current ones that people are doing. And I do a lot of research on child psychology and habits and behavior, because behavior plays into potty training so much, to just be able to address the full situation.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I have just started hearing all kinds of parents talking about the Oh Crap Potty Training over the past couple of years. I had never heard of it before, so I'm kind of excited to learn about it. So can you kind of give us a quick overview of how it works and how it's different from other methods?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what parents are doing nowadays is just the kind of casual potty training where they're putting a pull up on and letting the child go if he or she requests it, or encouraging it sometimes. But if you're in line at the grocery store and the kid has to pee, then they can go in the pull up. So it's kind of just wishy-washy, and that can take a really long time.
Right.
The nice thing about the Oh Crap Potty Training method is, it's not 3 days like the 3-day book says. And there's not a set amount of time, but you stick with it and you really hit it hard, and most kids will be completely potty trained within a month or two. And it gets better as that month or two goes on. You're not homebound for 2 months.
Sure.
So basically, the method starts out, it's broken into blocks, so you kind of have like a step-by-step process that you follow. But basically, the first 1 to 3 days, you're at home. The little potty is in the room near the child, no pants, no underwear. Okay. And we do this so that we can watch the kid and see, like, oh, I'm seeing a pee sign or a poop sign. So the parent's learning what the sign is. Mm-hmm. And then simultaneously, the child is learning, like, oh, this is what it feels like when I need to go. And then the potty's right there. So in that very early learning, you can get the child to the potty really fast. So that's what day one looks like. And then we gradually move to pants with no underwear. And we do that because underwear feel a lot like a diaper, and we see a lot of accidents when we put underwear on. It also provides a little bit of protection. So kids are very likely to poop because they know it'll stay up there and they can sometimes get away with it, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
And then we gradually move to going out in public. And all of this is kind of a back and forth process. So you might put pants on and see some accidents happen, so you go back to no pants. And the same with going out in public. You go out in public, you go out for maybe a half an hour when the child has just peed or pooped and had a success. You spend some time out. Maybe you offer the public toilet. Kid says no, you go back home, you practice some more with no pants. Okay. Next time, maybe the child says, yeah, I'll try the public toilet. Great, we try it, success, we stay out a little longer. We go back home, anytime there's accidents, we go back to no pants. So they're blocks and steps, but we go back and forth until the child really gets the practice they need. And then eventually, when they're totally rocking it, we put underwear on. And then we work on self-initiation, getting them to tell us when they need to go. That often takes 2 months. And then eventually night training, but we can talk about that later.
Yes, for sure. So what age do you recommend starting potty training, or does it depend on the child?
To some extent, it depends on the child. So between 20 and 30 months is usually ideal for most kids. That's when they're not super stubborn and opinionated yet. Some of them already are by then. Mm-hmm. They're still somewhat want to please their parents. They're curious about new things. And you're kind of looking for like a developmental lull when they're not trying to do anything else that's really taking their brain power. And when they're still being kind of easygoing. So that's why we like to do it in that range. That said, many parents can potty train at 18 months. Usually it takes longer. Not always. It depends on the kid.
Okay, well now I have a lot of theories about potty training because I've done it 6 times and I just feel like I'm terrible at it.
Oh no.
But one of my theories is if you start a child before they're ready,
Mhm.
then it takes longer because you have that resistance or whatever happens, and then they see it as a negative and they start fighting it. At least that's
Yeah.
been my experience.
So there's a couple things to keep in mind. We look for signs that they're capable, so that they can communicate and let us know that they need to go. Signs that they're moving towards being physically able to get their clothes up and down, and kids that are looking for some privacy when they poop. So those are kind of signs that they're ready. Um, the other thing is you can always start and you get in and say day 4, they're still peeing and pooping everywhere. With a younger age kid, it's totally okay to say, you know what? I think I hit this kind of at the wrong time. We're going to restart in a couple of months.
Okay.
That's one option. But resistance in general is super common in potty training. And a lot of times we're able to fix that by just really backing off as parents. And since with the Oh Crap method, we have their bottoms off and the toilet or the little potty right there, we can sometimes back completely off and they're so close to the toilet, just let them try to do it on their own. And if it started to click, then they'll usually go on their own. But resistance to parents prompting them and trying to get them to sit is super common, and it just makes them push back and resist even harder. That's absolutely true.
Right. So I had a question about early potty training. Her little one is almost 18 months. She said he's been going on the potty pretty regularly since 14 months, but it's just pretty laid back and she doesn't, she doesn't pressure him much. So she wonders what she can do to help keep that moving in the right direction, or should she just, go total potty training, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, if the kid seems that interested in it, I would go for it. I would go for it full board, because that's really, I think, the only way to get completely potty trained, especially at an age like that. And like I said, at 18 months, with most kids, it'll take longer. With a kid that's that excited about it, it might not. So I would jump in, do the full method, and if you get a week or 2 in and it's a total flop, you can always do, like I said, we do a reset. And then you just table it for a month or 2, and that child will take what they've learned. It's not a total waste of time, and it'll help the next time around. But yeah, if a kid is showing a lot of interest in it, that's a great window to go for it.
Great. And can we talk about another theory that I have, which is the earlier they're trained, the longer they're going to have accidents, because even if they're trained at 1.5 or 2, that they still kind of regularly will have accidents. In my experience, at least, it seems like the age of 3 is kind of when those accidents end.
Yeah, so I think it's true that sometime after 3 is when most kids are capable of self-initiating, which means they say, "I need to go potty," and either take themselves or get help to go.
Mhm.
Uh, and before that, we as parents kind of have to be on top of them more. So I guess it depends. You could potty train at 18 months, and a month later, maybe you're seeing one accident a month. Maybe it's when they're distracted, and you're probably going to have to remind them or prompt them more, be more aware of them being super engrossed in a show or a game. But if you're having one accident a month and your child's potty trained at 18 months, I would certainly take that
Sure.
over diapers until 3.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
and I think either way, you're going to have a fully potty trained kid earlier. Like if you start at 3, there's a good chance you're going to be having an accident here and there, at a later age.
Mhm.
Whereas if you start right at 2, by 3, you probably have a kid that's totally self-sufficient and
Sure.
potty. And again, it's all about, we prompt for a long time because kids get distracted. They might be really good at it, but something fun is going on, and they're not going to stop to go potty. Jamie Glowacki, the book author, says, I still prompt my 12-year-old. The only difference is when he's 12, I believe him when he says he doesn't have to go.
Right.
But I'm like, I can see you doing the pee dance. Go pee, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Yep. Okay, so I have a couple of different people who asked about working. If they're working full time, how would they do this? And also, how do you get your daycare on board?
So daycares can be tough. They're all over the spectrum on how cooperative they are. Ideally, you want a daycare that's going to let you do commando, so no underwear with pants, and that's going to kind of follow what you ask of them. Some
Mhm.
daycares are like, no, pull-ups until they're potty trained. And we kind of have to deal with what we have because they're watching our kids. We want to keep them happy. We need to be nice to them.
Right.
Um, so I suggest writing kind of up a summary of the Oh Crap method, and that's something that I can provide to parents that tells them sort of what the plan is, and then sitting with one of the daycare workers and walking them through the plan, that they understand where you're coming from and why you're doing the potty training the way you are. They're much more likely to cooperate.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Okay. Nighttime training. Wondering when or how to do that, or even if you need to do that. I mean, some of my boys were in nighttime pull-ups for many years, and it wasn't a big deal. So whatever, it's just easier not to have to deal with it. We tried things like alarms or waking them
Okay.
up or whatever. They're just very heavy sleepers.
Right.
But I mean, for instance, right now I have a 4-year-old who wears them at night, which is no big deal to me, but the pull-ups are making her kind of rashy. So that's kind of a concern. So that would be a reason I might want to figure out how to change that.
Yeah, so nights are tough, and kids are all over the place. Super deep sleepers being an exception that we'll kind of set aside for the moment. But normally night training, normally for most parent situations, I suggest waiting and doing day training first and then addressing night training later. And the reason for that is sleep is so important to successful potty training. You don't want to be waking your kid up in the middle of the night and messing up sleep, because they need that sleep to succeed during the day.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason is parents get super overwhelmed at the thought of doing both at the same time.
Right.
That said, if you have a kid who's holding it most of the time through the night, you want to do them both at the same time. And that's because toddlers do great with the very clear message, no more diapers, they're gone completely.
Okay.
We
Yep.
try to minimize the exceptions to when we use diapers. And the one time where we make the exception is for sleep.
Okay.
So for most kids, you'll want to night train. We recommend night training no later than about 3.5. And that's just because it seems to take a lot longer and be more difficult after that. It's not across the board. There are tons of parents now that do the nighttime pull-up later, but we see more instances of difficulty night training beyond 4 particularly.
Okay.
And I don't know if you wanted me to talk at all about the methods for night training.
That would be great, because I don't know if I've ever really actually done that. Just let my kids, let it happen when it happens. So
there's some things you can do while they're still in a pull-up, and one of them is, we call it the reverse pyramid of fluids. So that's really pushing fluids in the morning before nap. So in the mornings, and then tapering off before nap, and then again pushing fluids right after nap and tapering off before bed. Ideally, so their bladder's not going to fill up as much at night, and really trying to do more than just a few sips of water the 2 hours before bed. And you can do that when they're still in pull-ups and see, like, maybe they stay dry. And then you can just get rid of that diaper. And if they don't, then we do a series of night wakings. And you kind of, it's helpful if you have a sense how much your child is peeing at night, because you can do 1 or 2 wakings. Usually we have, like, if the parents stay up till like 10 or 11 and the kid goes to bed at 7 or 8, we have the parents take the kid at like 10 or 11 right before they go to bed. Okay. And you do just a sleepy time pee. You carry them if you need to. You set them on the potty. Just say, let your pee out. You rub their back. Try to get them to pee, and try to get them back to sleep with as little disruption as possible. Mm-hmm. And then for most kids, we'll do the same thing at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Not too close to when they wake up so that they won't fall back asleep. And then the other thing we do is we role play that during the day, so they know exactly what to expect when you come in the middle of the night to wake them up, and you can practice, and like they can pretend to wake mommy up and do it. And then right before they go to sleep, we whisper in their ear, hold your pee until mommy or daddy comes to get you. And that little subconscious message seems to help.
That's good.
So that's kind of the brief version of night training. Unless your kid holds it through the night, then you just get rid of the diaper, and
sure,
you might have a couple accidents, but hopefully they stick with holding it and you don't even have to do that.
Right. So then at what point do you stop doing that? I mean, how long do you need to be waking them in the night?
Right. So usually sometime between 3.5 and 4, if the kid's been potty trained for a while, they'll start to wake themselves up. And if you see them doing that, then you don't have to wake them anymore. Or they'll start holding it through the night. Kids are kind of all over the place with night training, so it's somewhat of a guessing game. Okay. A lot of times, like, what happens is the parents just forget to wake, and then because they're tired or whatever, and then the kid holds it, and they're like, oh, wow, we don't have to wake anymore.
Well, that's good. They just get tired of waking up, and so they stop doing it.
Yeah, and you did mention, you had some kids that were super deep sleepers. With the super deep sleepers, you either end up doing prolonged wakings or you do the pee alarm, because their bodies just, they're so deep asleep, they don't sense the pee coming. And
Right.
that's the rare case, but it definitely happens.
Okay. Great. Okay. And here's a big question, pooping. I know pooping can be a big issue with a lot of people, even after they're fully potty trained. Some will just refuse to go until they're constipated. Some will only poop on their one little potty or their cushy tushy, and they won't poop in public. They'll only do it when mom is home.
Right.
Just any words of wisdom or advice on how to get through that.
Yeah, poop is, probably up there. It might be the number one most common issue I see. Most pooping issues are related to some level of fear or anxiety. If you think about it, pooping is a very private thing. They've been pooping in their diaper their whole lives. It feels normal, and all of a sudden, we're totally changing that up.
Yeah.
So at some level, you can treat it like anything else they're afraid of. If they're afraid of the dark, or if they're afraid of a monster, how would you comfort them? Being very calm, very comforting, very encouraging. That's kind of the basic, like, first step.
Yeah.
And then it sort of depends on how that fear is manifesting. It can be manifesting in withholding, or it can be manifesting in accidents. Those are probably the two most common. And we would deal with each of those a little bit differently. Withholding, we would do things to keep the poop soft and moving. And depending on the degree of withholding, there's various things you can do. Magnesium supplements are great. Healthy fats in the diet are great for the more mild cases. And then if the child's having accidents, what we do is we treat it like any other fear, very calm, but we go back to no bottoms, keep the potty nearby, very calming language. We wait and we see that poop dance is coming when they would normally run off and try to poop in their pants or behind the couch. We keep them in a small area. I'm here for you. I'll help you. Let me know when you're ready to poop. I'll be right here for you, and just kind of sit by their potty and wait out that poop dance. And it might take a couple hours. You can have a magazine. But yeah, and then if you get them to sit, they might pop up, and you just sit, and you can use words like open your poop door, let your poop slide out, open your poop gate. And another kind of trick that funny, like it actually works, is the poop Play-Doh trick. You put a ball of Play-Doh in your hand, and you show them, this is what your poop's like when it's in your body. And then you start to squeeze it, and they like see the Play-Doh come out. Like, you need to already be on the potty when it's right here. And for whatever reason, kids love it, and it seems to help.
I've heard of that. That's funny.
Yeah, and there's YouTube videos of people showing how to do it, but it seems to make the kids understand kind of like what's going on with their bodies, which
right.
for whatever crazy reason helps it click with some kids.
Right. That's good. And I know the book Everyone Poops has been passed around in my family from my sister and me back and forth, and seems to help too. Just are there any other books that you would recommend? Or
a lot of the parents that I work with, like there's some Daniel Tiger ones and an Elmo one. Yeah, and if the kids like them and are interested in them, those are totally great. And that's kind of a way to introduce potty training also before you actually, bring out the potty.
Right. Just to kind of give them the idea of what it is and all of that.
Right.
Great. So then can you kind of tell us your biggest success story in your potty training coaching?
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's hard to measure what's the biggest. Like recently I worked with a mom and we trained twins, and that was a big hurdle, but they actually did really great. So I think one of my biggest successes, measured by how bad the situation was for the parents, the boy was pooping on everything, like pooping on his toys, pooping on the couch. And after working with the parents for a while, we realized this isn't just a pooping issue. This is an all-around behavior issue.
Right.
And so we really addressed behavior, and giving the child small but intense blocks of undivided attention from the parents. So they were getting that attention that they were seeking by pooping on things in a positive way instead. So they would do that throughout the day, 10 to 20 minutes of, I'm paying attention to no one but you, we're doing something fun. And then also setting clear boundaries in life in general. No means no. And this, when I do this, I follow through, and just giving the child more consistency. And miraculously, a week or two later, he stopped pooping on everything.
Oh, that's great. So it was more a behavior issue than a potty training issue. So you were kind of parent coaching at that point.
Yeah, and that's more and more, all of the potty training coaches I work with are seeing that it's more behavior issues that we're dealing with that are related to potty training very much, but
Right.
not themselves potty training issues.
Well, certainly it's a great time for a little one to realize this is a great way for me to control the situation because they can't make me poop in the potty and they can't make me pee in the potty.
Yes,
So,
that's the
yeah,
number one rule with potty training. We cannot make them go, and they figure that out quickly. We can get
right,
them to sit, but we cannot make them get their pee or poop out unless they want to.
right,
That's, on that note, generally in potty training, offering them choices. Do you want to pee on the little potty or the big potty? Do you want me to read you a story while you're peeing or when you get off? Something that makes them feel in control
yeah,
can be really helpful.
right. That's great. So, can you just talk for a few minutes about your coaching business and what kinds of things you do, what you offer, what different options are if any parents are interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So I offer all kinds of support. I do email packages where, if you just have questions, we can email back and forth. I do phone consultations. I kind of like to start with a phone call because then I get the full overview of what's going on. We can kind of really address what the issues are, and then we can email back and forth for a week or two just as little things come up.
Mhm.
And then now that my youngest is finally a little older, I'm doing in-person consultations in the Denver area, and I can come out and teach a class, or if you don't want to read the book, I can teach you the method, and then even come out for those first couple of days and help you identify your child's pee and poop signs and kind of get through those like first couple of days that are really tough.
Great. And what is the name of your website? I'll also put a link to it in the post so people can click on it.
Yeah, it's pottytrainwithmartina.com.
Okay, great. Anything else you wanted to share before we closed it out?
I don't think so. I guess one thing, people can always email me, and it's pottytrainwithmartina@yahoo.com if they're wondering if their kid's ready or capable and they want to know if it's a good time to start. I always give free advice on that. And then you can jump in and try it on your own. And if you hit any hurdles, then you can contact me. I do have to say, though, most people that read the book don't need a consultant like me. Usually you can read the book, follow the method, and your kid will do great. And then if they don't, that's what I'm there for.
Okay, so you're there for after they've tried that and it didn't work, or they're
Right.
struggling, they have a hurdle or something they can't get over.
Right. Or if they don't want to read the book, then
Okay,
I can talk them through it.
okay,
There's a
sounds
lot of
great.
parents like that.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing how my readers react and how you can help them out.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.